You're listening to Lemonal, an auditorium production. For the best experience, headphones are recommended. Hello, my name is Lemon, and I am an Unraveller. You seem so tense. Don't worry. It is my job to display to you what I have learned, or at least what I think I've learned exploring the purgatory of my own being. Come now. I'd like to take a walk with you. I prefer more comfortable settings for talks like this. Nature is so peaceful. I have so many warm memories of running through the woods, playing with frogs and skinning my knees, chasing nothing but my imagination. I would build forts in the woods to pretend I was surviving the wilds. This was unbridled joy, and I remember it so well. These are fond and cherished things to me. But as of late, I have found myself more fascinated with what lies in between. I had thoughts the other day about my childhood, just the same as now. So as is my fate, I began to unravel this strand. Looking around, I was in my room from when I was a boy. It was dark, messy, almost expected of one so young. The room was littered with toys, shirts, and dirty shoes. I sat on my former bed, its plush embrace welcoming an old friend. This brought a smile to my face, but there was something that lingered near me, and the shadowy hallway outside the room beckoned to me. Why was it so dark? I had to answer this call, this urge. The curiosity inside me ached to know. As I stepped out and rounded the corner, I was met with a void. I could see right through it, but I could not recall what the walls looked like. Why couldn't I remember a hallway? It was only a hallway. Curious as I will always be, I stepped through, and as I wandered the house, I was met with several more dark rooms, all empty in detail barring the shadowy nothingness that enveloped them entirely. I began to realize it wasn't a lack of want to remember, but my brain telling me I didn't need to remember what happened in those places. It's a difficult thing realizing you've repressed so much. There are faces from my childhood I can no longer place. I do remember that I used to lie about my home life so that I seemed like a much more normal child. And further than that, there are people I knew at 18 years old that changed my life. But I can't reach out to thank them because I don't remember their names. There is trauma interwoven through all periods in my life. Yet I've overcome this. At some point, I decided to abandon who I was and become who I am. You see, this person I was at 22 is not the same person I was at 26 even. To be completely honest with you, I can't recall who I was before a few years ago beyond the fact that I was a broken person. I did not allow myself to heal for far too long. Now, even though I still forget things, I accept myself despite the condition that I've been dealt by this world. A condition that also aches and gnaws and feeds at my body. I hid this condition from everyone for quite some time. I normalized the pain. I told myself that this was how things were. Despite finding my self-acceptance and happiness with my own emotions, I hid away everything that I felt physically and mentally. There were days where all I wanted was a hug and to be told that things will be okay. But slowly, I began to be much more honest outwardly with my thoughts and emotions. At this, I was shocked to find open arms reaching out from every direction, even from those who barely knew me. Sometimes our fears of the misconceptions of those around us drive us to bury these things deeper. When I was forthcoming about the things I felt, the things that haunted me when I tried to sleep, the things that fed on my psyche, the remedy was much closer at hand than I ever thought. And for the first time I felt relief, even if just for a moment. And I began to cry and cry. Yet instead of being as pushed away as I was in nightmares, I was embraced. I was told by someone that if something is enough to break me, it's enough to justify wanting relief. If you can carry anything with you from this experience, from this conversation, you don't have to stay invisible forever. It is more than acceptable to admit that you are afraid. You will make mistakes. I have made mistakes. I have hurt people. But I do not let that define my existence in its current state. Nor should you. Love can become a very tangible object and can display itself in many forms. But finding love for yourself, being able to express the full extent of your emotions, you will blossom tenfold into the person you have always been capable of being. This is the experience of my existence. This is what I have learned above all else. To be able to love yourself despite the flaws you embed in your mind is to be able to love the world around you. Even if driven without a sense of purpose, you are susceptible to being a vehicle of change. It is simply up to you to make the stops you feel are necessary in order to find the parts that are missing. Your path will not always be clear, and it's easy to take a wrong turn. But sure enough, with enough guidance from those around you, you will always find your way back to the main road. Remember this. Even if you cannot find pride in yourself, I am proud of you. I am proud of you for existing. I am proud of who you were, who you are, and who you will become. Now, I suppose it's time I let you go. It is time for you to be born. You have many universes to travel, many friends to make, and more adventure ahead of you than you could possibly begin to imagine. I believe they intend to call you Clementine. A beautiful name. Go forth, sweet child. Express to the world your whimsical nature, and know that you are not defined by every slip you make along the path. Good luck. Lemonal was written, voiced, and engineered by Landon Whisnant. My intention in writing this was to express what it's been like to realize I've repressed so much, and to show that despite my fears and my condition, I've come to accept who I am, and that it's okay to admit that I'm scared. And I couldn't have done that without my brother, my friends both new and old, and those very special to me that have recently been brought into my life that have triggered a monumental shift in my outlook on everything. I'd like to recommend the audio dramas Morbid Forest, The Liminal Lands, and The Storage Papers. Wonderful people make them, and they'd appreciate your support just as much as I do. Thank you for listening. We look forward to delivering you more episodes of Auditorium.